Okay, so now y'all are saying that they did accuse me. They just thought that I was too unstable or weak and they needed my testimony? If they needed my testimony, why didn't they take my testimony? I don't know how much of the court transcripts y'all have, but when they put me on the stand, I was up there for probably less than 5 minutes, and they didn't ask me anything about the murder. Do you know what they questioned me about? They questioned me about my old laptop and why I had wanted to get it back or get the money to get a new one. They questioned me about my childhood. Um, the deposition actually, the day before I was to take the stand, um, they met with me, right? There was like a 2 hour thing. They never asked me a single question about the murder. In the deposition where they were meant to be preparing me to testify, they never asked me a single question about the event itself because I don't know. Honestly, I thought I did for a second, but I really don't. They asked me about my childhood. They asked me about my father. They asked me about things that I had spoken to my therapist about because they had gone to the mental health center and gotten they got a warrant to take my records. And so they were questioning me about things that I had been talking to my therapist about. And I wasn't talking about the murder because I wasn't mentally there and I wasn't ready to talk about it. Period. I was not ready to talk about it at that time. And so they told me that they wanted me to see a therapist. They wanted me to see a doctor and be on medication, and I agreed to that. And when I first met the therapist, I asked her, I told her, I've never seen a therapist before. I really don't know what I'm supposed to talk about or what I'm supposed to say. She didn't direct me to talk about the murder. She said I could talk about anything I wanted. So I talked about anything I wanted. And when it came time for the trial, and they had taken my transcripts and my medical records and shit, and they were questioning me. They were questioning me about shit that had absolutely nothing to do with Kenneth and Roberta. They were questioning me about ridiculous things. And so when it went to trial, again, they never questioned me about Kenneth or Roberta. They asked me, um, I had called to find out when I could get my laptop back because I am addicted to the internet. And y'all can tell now I'm online 24 hours a day. So I had called and I had asked when I was going to be able to get the laptop back. Sorry. Um, I was told that they accidentally destroyed it and they would write me a check to get a new one. And then I had called and asked when I would receive that check. And so most of the questions revolved around why I was wanting the money and why I was wanting the new computer. I was wanting the money to get a new computer. But for y'all to say, well, they didn't arrest you because they needed your testimony. What testimony? Nothing I said affected anything in that case. Then the second I was taken off the stand because they got me crying by grilling me about the money and the computers, they got me in tears and they took me off the stand and that was it. And then he approached the judge and he confessed. So they did not need my testimony. That the idea that the only reason I'm free is because they needed my testimony. They didn't use my testimony. I didn't say shit. I didn't get a chance to. They got me upset and then took me off the stand because they knew that there was nothing I said was going to help him. Nothing I said was going to help that case. And their main job was to keep him from getting the electric chair. So they had nothing to say. Why would they want my testimony? And if you're saying, well, but the state wanted your testimony. No, the state didn't even cross-examine. Mr. John Guy didn't ask me any questions. I mean, I met with him, he helped me out all day long, but he didn't do a cross-examination after the other guy got me upset because they had already got me upset and took me off the stand. And if y'all have the court documents that you say you've gone over so many times, you should absolutely know that. So that's, again, with the slander and the lies and the defamation about things that you do not know. You know, there was no $50,000 lawyer. There was no plea deal. There was no testimony that saved me. It was literally, they had everything that they needed. They had her body in his backyard. They had the tons of emails between the two of us where he was pretending to be somebody else, where he was telling me all of these things for months, leading me on to believe he was somebody he wasn't. They had, when I first went to the police and turned him in, I gave them my computer and I called him. They bought me a phone card so that I could call him, and they recorded the phone call. And in that phone call, he confessed to everything. Everything. I mean, he confessed to killing and burying her, and he also confessed to holding me and beating me and threatening to kill me. And he kept, apologizing and breaking down and just begging me to come back. And, saying anything he thought would work to get me to come back. I guess he didn't think that I was with the police. He had been out looking for me. And he had gone to see my grandmother, who thankfully was in the hospital, and the hospital wouldn't let him in. She has security because the news were trying to talk to her and shit. But yeah, all of y'all's theories have absolutely no basis in reality. But that doesn't stop you from spreading them, from making your assumptions and saying this is what happened, and there's no evidence of it at all.